Yeah, you're on mute. Unless that's on purpose.
Who's on mute?
Leah is.
Leah. How's she gonna hear you?
I hear you. Just get myself organized here, so.
I've got my laptop plugged in and it's telling me that I got a low battery and I need to plug it in, so I'm hoping I don't lose you guys in the next 5 minutes.
Okay, we'll be quick. Hopefully, as long as you're quick, we'll be quick. All right, so we all back? We've got Ron, is Jason with us?
He is.
I don't see Jason.
I'm here.
Okay. All right, so we are back into public session. Is 6:29. I think we can roll. So next up on our agenda is the tax classification public hearing. And we have Vicky here to speak to that.
As long as her battery lasts, we got her.
Yeah, as
Yeah.
long as my battery lasts, yeah. Do you guys have to read the public hearing notice?
I do not have it. Do you
Okay, all right,
presently?
okay.
Do you have it?
I do not have it.
Sue may
I
have
don't
it.
either. I don't
Yep,
either.
I can grab it.
Okay.
Might be on our agenda online if I'm a betting man.
Do you want me to read it?
Yes,
Sure.
please.
Yeah, none of us have it.
Okay. The Dunstable Select Board will hold a public hearing on Tuesday, December 2nd, 2025 at 6:30 PM at the Dunstable Town Hall, 511 Main Street, Dunstable, Massachusetts, which has been changed over to Microsoft Teams remote meeting for the purposes of determining the percentages of the local tax levy to be borne by each class of property for the fiscal year 2026. This hearing is in compliance with Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 56. Members of the public may present verbal or written comments prior to or at the hearing. Respectfully, Sue Fain, Executive Assistant to the Select Board.
Thank you.
Okay, as we know, here in Dunstable, we don't have any commercial industrial base, basically. It's less than 5% of our tax base. So in a community that had a large commercial base, it would be prudent to have a split rate so the residential people would get a break and the commercial people would pay a little bit more, but in Dunstable, it doesn't make any sense. Even to do a small reduction in residential down, like 27 cents per thousand less, the commercial would go up $5.30 per thousand. So the Board of Assessors recommend that the Board of Selectmen adopt a residential shift factor of 1, and this would allow all classes of property to be taxed at the same rate.
It's worth noting we've done this factor of 1 many years in a row consecutively. That sounds correct, Vicky?
That's
Yes.
very correct. Yeah,
As long as I can remember.
yeah.
Me too.
I don't have a lot of questions then. I think we're sort of, this is the boilerplate standard for our town. So
Okay. Is there anybody in the audience that has any questions regarding this? I do not see anybody with a raised hand or. Okay. Back to the board.
I move to establish a single rate residential factor of 1.
I will second that motion.
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 All right.
Do we want to
Great.
close the public hearing?
Sure, we can close the public hearing. All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Second, aye.
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 I forget how it works on Zoom. I was
Yeah.
talking about that earlier. I was like, it's hard on Zoom sometimes. So
I know, it just changes everything.
yeah.
All right, well, thank you, Vicky. All right, next up on our agenda, we have 3 sets of minutes to approve for October 28th, November 12th, and November 17th, all of this year.
I didn't have any issues with them.
Okay, nor
Same,
did I.
look great.
Okay,
Move to
Is there a
approve
motion?
the meeting minutes dated October 28th, 2025, November 12, 2025, and November 17th, 2025 as submitted.
Second,
okay, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
aye.
thank you.
And a happy dog.
Yes, someone's plowing and dogs are freaking out, so sorry about that.
I think next up on our agenda, number 6 is
Okay, sorry. folks.
consideration. Yep,
Um,
all good. I could jump in if you need me to, Leah.
Thank you.
All good. Number 6 is consideration of an amendment to liquor license regulation for single serving sales. I know we have a few folks interested in this. Maybe Jason, do you want to kick it off?
Yeah. Sure. So you all remember at the last select board meeting, the select board was, we offered a proposal that better defined what a single serving alcoholic beverage would be for the liquor stores in town. It was prompted by a question we received from one of the package stores, basically asking the question. Because our previous regulations simply had no single service, no nips, no single service. So the result was the language that's I think it's on the screen. And with that, you also renewed their licenses. And so they were emailed their renewals with the new regs, and we heard from both establishments with questions and concerns about the new language. I think basically they would like to see the size of the servings lower than what was approved at the last meeting. So I don't have any more details than that, and I know they're I think Dunstable Liquor's attorney is here, and I know the owner of Mirabelle's here. So they may be able to, I think, talk about that in greater detail and put a little more color on it for you.
They did also share an email with us. I think that's from Ms. Flores, so that helps. And I've read the email. I'm guessing Leah and Ron have as well. So certainly happy to let each of those sides, share some extra information if they feel they want to.
Sure. I'm happy to start. Amanda, Shannon, if you're fine with that.
I'm perfectly fine with it.
Okay, great. Well, first I'd like to just thank the select board and Ms. Fain for getting us on tonight's agenda. The owners of Mirabelle and I are here to provide feedback, as Jason had mentioned, to the newly adopted changes to Section 9 of the regulations. So my clients are actually attending a wedding in India, which is why they are not able to join tonight. And although they may have been able to with the change to Teams, unfortunately, it is a completely different time zone. So my clients were issued the first package store license in Dunstable in August of 2023. I was before some of you then who were on the board. And my client's store opened in September of 2025. So my clients received the newly adopted regulations just before Thanksgiving, which essentially broadened the blanket prohibition on single serving sales to restrict greater fluid ounces. The universally accepted standard drink definition for fluid ounces would be 12 fluid ounces for beer, 8 to 10 fluid ounces for malt beverages, 5 fluid ounces for wine, and 1.5 fluid ounces for spirits. The newly adopted regulations restrict the quantity of sales for smaller size malt and wine and expand the nip exclusion to include quarter pints and half pints for spirits. So had my clients been provided notice and an opportunity to be heard at the November meeting, my clients would have shared the following. My clients in Mirabelle are faced with the challenge of converting customers who have spent their lifetimes purchasing alcohol out of town or out of state into having confidence in the stores in Dunstable. convenience is only going to get them so far. So changes to the regulations affect customer confidence, and the prior restrictions to single serving containers has driven folks elsewhere already. With the new restrictions, what was available last month will not be available next month, and that does not provide customer confidence. Offering small portions actually helps manage consumption and from a business perspective promotes a revolving door as customers are appearing at the store more frequently to purchase more items. My clients have had multiple customers tell them that they are only planning to make one drink or wish to buy a small quantity of a particular spirit to accommodate a picky spouse. These customers even reject purchasing pints, wanting, again, half pints or quarter pints, which would be restricted under the new regulations. Smaller formats support moderation and also encourage trying new products without as much financial risk to the customer. The liquor stores in Dunstable will never be able to compete with the New Hampshire prices. I mean, that's just a fact, which is where customers are reporting that they're buying their handles or buying in bulk. And just for reference, New Hampshire liquor stores have 27,000 units of Tito's 1.75 liters of vodka on their shelves at any given time, whereas by comparison, my clients are only allowed to purchase 12 handles at a time from their distributor. Customers are willing to pay slightly more for the convenience of purchasing an item in Dunstable, but that convenience factor is eliminated if what they're wanting to buy is not available in these stores. The new restrictions threaten the viability of my client's store and business. Restricting smaller items disadvantages the small retailer over the chain. And you have responsible, fully certified and trained liquor store owners here who have invested in this town, who've chosen Dunstable to open their store. And they are asking for a fair chance to compete with the stores in the neighboring towns and also in New Hampshire. So based on this feedback, my clients would be looking for the restrictions to be amended to remove the term single serving entirely and rely on the fluid ounce and or millimeter metrics only. So what that would look like for malt beverages, that would be no fewer than 2 units if the unit is 12 fluid ounces or less. For wine, it would be no fewer than 2 units if the unit is 8 fluid ounces or less. For the spirit restriction, to go back to the prohibition of sale of 1.7 fluid ounces, which is the NIPS size. And then for beer, no fewer than 2 units if the unit is 12 fluid ounces or less. And in my discussions with Ms. Shannon, who owns Mirabelle, we've also discussed, the difference between a ready-to-drink item, meaning a refrigerated single-serving beer, and a beer that's put on the shelf. And I'll let Ms. Shannon speak to that more and how her business model works, but we would be open to having there be a distinction from the select board as to a ready-to-drink versus a warm drink. And I'm happy to take any questions, but I know Amanda Shannon has things to add to that.
I don't have any particular questions. I don't think, it feels like forever ago, that last meeting, our intent was to reduce sales or create any harm in transactions to either business. I think we were just feeling prudent, but I won't speak for all my fellow select board members. So I think it's good to hear from you and have us maybe discuss and sort of check with our other neighbors and residents. So
we appreciate the opportunity to weigh in. So thank you.
Ron?
Well, Amanda, I have a question. You put out some numbers there about, people coming back and where did all that data come from? I mean, does the New Hampshire liquor stores with 27,000 bottles of Tito's just help me understand how all that information was sourced?
That's sourced from my clients actually submitted an affidavit, which I would have presented today if we had been in person. But that is sourced from the distributors themselves, that they are restricted to the amount of quote unquote handles. So that's that 1.75 liter that they're allowed to purchase at any given time, whereas New Hampshire liquor stores have 27,000 bottles available. And they don't have the same restriction as a private run liquor store, obviously.
Right.
New Hampshire is just one example. I know Amanda will mention, I believe she will mention, Amanda Shannon, that even, a 20-minute drive from Dunstable, you're having stores with nips and obviously greater variety. And that's just providing business to those towns. And those are within Massachusetts, not necessarily even including New Hampshire.
Okay, so if we amend this to what you're suggesting, what's the impact of that on these businesses? Is it substantial? Is it negligible? This discussion was had at the floor of town meeting at the time we were trying to get town meeting to adopt the liquor license. And, the whole premise of all of this was to prevent people from stopping in the liquor store. It's cold out. They want to have a beer. They chug it down and they take the can and throw it on the side of the road. And, that happens. And so the premise for all this was to kind of control that. Okay.
Absolutely.
With that being said, how much, what do we, I'm sitting here scratching my head going, how is this change to what you're asking for going to dramatically drive the business into a better revenue producing? I don't know,
Sure.
Amanda
And
Flores. I don't.
Yeah, absolutely. And so, with respect to at least Dunstable Liquor, what my clients are finding is that people are not stopping in to purchase handles or liters or larger items. They're not even purchasing, let's say, multiple 30 racks of beer. They're in for, maybe they're coming into town to go to a holiday party and they're purchasing a small quantity for personal consumption that day. Or they're people that live in the town. And again, they're not doing their complete stock up in the store. They're buying something that they had forgot or something to accommodate someone that doesn't drink a particular beverage. That is what my clients are finding. And so their sales for the larger quantity items, which seems to be what the select board wishes for them to push out, don't even make up, I would say 75% of what their sales are, less than 50 certainly. They're finding people are buying in less quantities, and maybe that's a cultural consideration that people are consuming less alcohol overall. I mean, I can't speak to that, but they are finding that what is selling are smaller items. And so what they're concerned with is that the restrictions, which, speak in turn both of single servings being restricted and then have milliliters that don't support what actual single servings are, that appears in conflict. And so all we're asking for is remove single serving as the language and actually, drop the framework that says this is what the fluid ounce maximum or minimum is to be sold in single serving, and allow people the opportunity to purchase and try new things, right? Because part of this is that right now, I think both businesses are selling items in 4-packs. And again, Ms. Shannon will speak to her own business model, but some of her beers are very expensive. And so people aren't buying them, right? Because they don't want to have to buy 4 of them. But maybe if they tried and were able to buy 2, it would be something that they would regularly shop for, because she's kind of in the craft space, whereas my clients are in the more traditional liquor space.
Yep.
I ask a question there. So does this current provision we added in mean someone can't go in and do like the 4-pack and mix like a Budweiser with a Coors Light and then like a Michelob? You can't do that anymore. And then like a Lagunitas?
Yeah, your new restriction actually doesn't cover beer at all. But what it does restrict is the pints in terms of spirits. And the quarter pints. So
Okay.
the milliliters that you had put into the new restriction would prohibit those sales.
So it does actually speak to beer, malt.
It's just malt, Sue. I only saw it as malt, but maybe you could pull it up again.
It says malt beverages, single serving of malt beverages defined as
Mhm.
24 ounces or less.
So if we're calling, I'm sorry, if beer is a malt, I always consider them different things, so.
That was the intention.
Mhm. So the issue then is, the fluid ounces, 24 fluid ounces obviously is a very large container, but you do have a unit component to that. Whereas, again, my clients don't sell this product, but Miss Shannon's business sells, $6 to $8 beer, which times 4 is, 24 to $32 for 4 cans of beer. It's pretty expensive. And so people aren't purchasing that. And again, it's an inventory issue, right? So this is already purchased, and we're trying to make the regulations make sense, but also have expectations clear, because it's not my clients aren't necessarily comfortable, they're doing it, but having to tell folks, again, what was on the shelf last week is not going to be on the shelf next week. And I think it's not necessarily good for the confidence of their customers to know that they can rely on going to that store and finding what they need.
So if the malt beverages said 12 ounces, would that improve the situation?
It would, or the issue with the malts is the 4 units.
But if it were 24 ounces, 12 ounces,
Yes, it would certainly improve, yes. But again, if Amanda Shannon's there and would like to weigh in, I don't want to speak
sure,
to her
yeah.
for her entirely. Yep, thank you. But I'm happy to answer any other questions.
We
And
don't
the
have any
spirit-
more
I'm sorry.
questions, but yeah.
Yeah, I have a couple of questions.
Okay.
I've had my hand up for
I'm
quite some
sorry.
time, so.
I think Amanda Shannon is trying to speak, but she's on mute.
Okay.
You're on mute. Amanda, you're on mute.
If
Can you
look
hear me
up on
now?
There
the,
you go. Yep, you're good now.
Go ahead with your questions and then I can chip in.
I have a couple of questions. I don't know how to use the putting your hand up thing, so.
Mr. Flynn, Miss Flynn had a question first and her hand was
Right.
up first. So I'm gonna just defer to order of operations. Sorry, sir. I think she said she has somewhere else to go, so.
I do, but this is more important right now. One, I would ask what precipitated the changes? Would be my question number one. And if it was due to the litter issue, my concern would be when I went up to debate, when they originally were trying to open the package store next to my parents, and I brought up the liquor issue as a problem, I was told that was unsubstantiated and not to be considered an issue. So if that is what precipitated the change, I find a problem with that.
I think what
I'd like to know-
precipitated the change is getting clarification on what we meant by not selling nips, essentially, and the single serving. And we just tried to make this a little bit more clear by setting more numerical parameters on that intent.
Okay.
That doesn't answer your question? I can try to explain it
It's not
differently.
what was stated a few minutes ago. It was that litter was an issue. That was what they were trying to be concerned about. The litter was what I believe Karen said. And now that's
Well, I
not
think
what
litter
you're
is
saying.
always an issue, but
No,
that was.
It was
the
told it
part of the
wasn't an
intent
issue when
of
I brought it
having
up.
I don't
No,
think I
it-
mentioned
if-
anything about litter, but
Am I wrong? Did anyone else hear that earlier?
Ms. Chair, if I could just, do you mind if I say one thing about this? Can you hear me?
Well, Erica, yes, Brian. I'm just
Yes,
going to
we
make
can.
sure that we're done with Erica at this point before we move on.
I
There
was
was a-
just,
It was Jason.
I was just gonna try to add clarity to Erica's question.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. So what happened, the initial regulations had this restriction, but it wasn't well defined, as Leah said. So we've received a question in the office from one of the business owners asking us what it meant. So this was our best attempt to define what a single service beer, wine, malt, alcoholic drink was. And so it was based upon the research of the office and then a proposal that was put together from there. I think, as Karen said, it was never intended to be, it was never intended to penalize the current business owners. I think everyone here wants to be invested in their success. So it was never meant to harm their business.
Right.
But what it was meant to do is to execute upon the intent of the former regulations. And so if there are changes that should be made to better do that, I'm completely okay and fine with that. But that was what happened, and that was the intent. And I would like to just personally apologize. I wish we had, I think Amanda, you had said, Amanda, the attorney, not Amanda, not Amanda from Era, that if you had a chance to comment on them. I wish, in hindsight, I wish we had allowed for you to have that chance, both businesses to have that chance, and that was an oversight on my part. And so I do apologize that I wish that had happened.
Like,
Thank you, Jason.
Can
no,
I go
thank
now?
you.
Yes, Brian, please.
So one question is, I don't know the timing on when all of this questions arose, but I don't know if it was Karen or somebody made the comment about the liquor being adopted with restrictions. So in that vein, wouldn't this be more appropriate addressed at either the special town meeting or the next town meeting? And then my only concern about it is there is a definite, if you go online and you research, there's a definite litter problem with the single servings. And it isn't just the nip bottles, it's the single serving bottles. The Plymouth Independent has some pretty stark pictures, and Connecticut has some pretty stark statistics on it. So that would be my question that would need to be addressed, I think needs to be addressed, is what if we see, if this is adopted, and, I'm with the sentiment that we don't want to, put anybody out of business, but if this is adopted and it creates a litter problem, how's that going to be handled?
And if I may address that,
Sure.
that's okay. So I think that that's really, and maybe that was the point, and I, again, don't want to speak for Erica's question, but, what prompted the regulation change? And I agree, I think that the original language, was restrictive in terms of single serving, which we're not proposing any change to that. We're just proposing a more appropriate definition of what single serving is. But I think, if and when certainly it ever became a problem of increased litter that was due to either liquor stores being open and selling items, that's the time that this absolutely should be addressed. And that's the time when, either liquor store or the responsible liquor store should be penalized, right? I think the issue here is not that there has been an increase in litter. It's just an issue of, everything's in hindsight. This was the first time. This is the big test for Dunstable of having a liquor store. And here you have the opportunity of two business owners saying, the restrictions are not going to work for this model. Maybe in the future when there is more brand, quote unquote, brand confidence. But at this point, they're trying to get people in the door, and they're trying to get people to trust the process. They're trying to get people to not shop in New Hampshire.
Well, I understand all that, but the single servings are for the person who doesn't want to wait till they get home to have a drink. I mean, that's the
We
simple
haven't
matter
been
of it.
allowed to sell single servings. Nobody in Dunstable has purchased a single serving. Nothing has been increased.
Hmm.
Any single serving has come from outside of Dunstable because we are already not allowed to do so.
And we're not proposing a change to that, Mr. Flynn.
Okay. All right, then my only question is the litter, if litter becomes a problem.
Litter presently is a problem. You walk
It's
on
pre-
any of the
it's
streets,
presently
pretty
a
much anywhere
problem?
you go, that it's, the majority are single can beers, the single serve wine and nips. There is so much Fireball nips on the streets, it's ridiculous.
In our town?
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
But none of it has come from Dunstable.
No,
No, I agree.
no,
Yep.
no, that would be true.
No.
So
I
what
live
we're
on a
looking
road
to
that
do is
is
to
a
not
direct
add to this
passage to
problem.
Nashua. And
And we're not trying to add to it. We're just not trying to force people to buy 4 of something. That is a lot for somebody. If somebody is coming in and they have a limited budget, how do I tell them instead of $6, please spend $24? Because that's our law in Dunstable. How does that go over? We're about to have a bunch of low-income housing coming into this town. So are we just not allowing them to purchase here?
fair question.
I think
Um,
that's, the intent wasn't to hurt our new businesses that are trying to get their feet under them and be successful in town. So I think we're learning along the way, and I think it's nice to hear from you folks and give you the chance to connect with us. We, like Jason said, we should have from the start, and our apologies for that, for not being more inclusive at the time. But your points are valid, and I echo what Leah said, where it's disappointing to see as many little Fireball or peppermint schnapps or whatever they are out on the streets. You don't see a lot of like craft Lone Star Brewing 16-ounce cans out there. It's just not, people aren't throwing those away. Like it's just not the nature of what it is. It might be one of those tall natural ice ones, but not the other stuff.
Yeah.
So I agree, and I too like to have a cool hoppy beer every now and then, but I can only drink one of them because otherwise there's too much sugar. So I would be interested in sort of rewiring that parameter to that effect, if that makes sense. So
If I might interject as well. We're trained in a tip certification to not sell to people who are clearly under the influence. It's usually people who are under the influence already who are going to be the ones that want the single can or want the single nip to continue that buzz. We are clearly trained in identifying, we are certified in identifying people to not sell to. If I have a gentleman who wants to pick up a little espresso martini for his wife because he's thinking about her and it's warm, please tell me who's drinking a warm espresso martini. Nobody's drinking that. If you're that desperate, then I'm sorry. Like, but you know what I mean? Like it's these kind of things. I have beers that come from monks in France that taste like dirt, basically. And we sell them warm and they cost $8. Nobody is buying that to drink in their car. It's not the idea. It's about expanding the palette and just like showing what we can offer. But asking somebody to spend $32 instead of $8, I can't do that.
I'm not finding it if you did submit presenting what your recommendations are for us to consider. I see you have, have you done that, or did you just express them in the beginning of your presentation?
Sure, I just expressed them when I spoke now. I'm happy to either put them in the chat if that's something that the board would like to visualize. And we're not necessarily, obviously, while we would like to see a vote happen today, if the board is not ready and this is something that you need to sit with, we've spoken with Ms. Fain that The new regulations are not intended to take effect until the new year. So if this is something that you need to sit with, then that's fine. I am seeing that chat is turned off though. I don't know if I
Okay.
can find a
If
way
you
to
could
send
even,
it.
I mean, I don't know if we're ready to take a vote tonight either.
Sure.
I do think we need to sort of mull it over and look at it and maybe, do a little bit more research again. But if you could maybe even just send an email to Sue or Jason.
Sure. And I'll
outlining
send
what-
it. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, that's all. Just
Oh,
make
okay.
that recommendation for us to review.
Absolutely.
Right.
And I'll send it with Amanda. Shannon, we'll collaborate on sending it over. So it's from both of us.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
So I don't know if these are the only regulations that are being amended or not, but I had an issue last week, which was just a wee bit frustrating, and it's not the first time I've had it, that is similar, where I went to order till during COVID and shortly after COVID, you could get liquor delivered to this town. That is no longer the case, apparently. And you can get it delivered to every town around here, but not Dunstable, and it caused an issue for me last week. Is that looking to be changed? Because I don't understand why that is not allowed anymore.
I'm not sure, Erica, who governs that? Is that because we haven't been, nothing's changed.
Nothing's changed.
According
a
to DoorDash,
regulation.
because I called DoorDash and I called Instacart, they were told, and they didn't say who, Dunstable is no liquor delivery, but every other town around here has liquor delivery.
I have
And
not,
I've had it delivered here before, and that changed.
I have
Yeah,
not
this-
heard of that at all. That
Yeah,
is,
no, I agree with that. That's not, that sounds like a misinformation from DoorDash because
It's not just DoorDash,
Um,
it's Instacart, it's all of them.
that just may be a decision that they made, but this rule doesn't impair that in any way. So
I know this doesn't, but apparently at some point the rules were changed according to, like I said, I called a bunch of them because I needed it for Thanksgiving. And they were told that Dunstable no longer allows liquor delivery.
yeah, it would not be right.
that has had nothing to do with this.
Nothing.
At all.
Right?
We
Nothing.
have not changed. This is the only thing that has even been open for discussion since the passage of this.
I'll keep digging because that's not what they said.
This is your local liquor licensing authority. We haven't done anything.
Okay. Like I said, I know this is just similar. I didn't know if that was something else that was in discussion to be changed. I didn't know.
It is not, and it has not. So
Okay, I will dig because I need that. Jones.
See, Joni's got a hand up, but she's muted, so.
We can't hear you,
Okay.
Jones.
Sorry about that. Okay, from the very beginning, when we talked about this, there was a concern on, selling the smaller quantities. And I'm sure both you guys, opened your businesses knowing that you weren't going to be able to compete with, the big liquor stores. Okay, so I'm a little concerned. I don't quite understand what you want here. So I'm glad you're going to continue this, and I'll see what information comes up. But I just the small quantities, the small bottles. I can remember specifically Amanda, talking to you about, the size that would work for you. And so, I certainly want both of you guys to, to be able to do good business. But, at the same time, there's no way that, our little stores can compete with, Nashua. So we just have to find a happy medium.
If I may answer to you, Joan, if you don't mind.
Sure.
When we were speaking at the meetings and everything, I said that we didn't need nips. And we weren't gonna do gut rot gin. That was your
Right, I
number
remember,
one.
yeah.
Nobody here is really asking for nips. The thing that we're asking for is just on the quantities of 4 on very specific items that don't make sense. And I am very grateful to say that we are competing with New Hampshire state liquor stores. We have many, many, many people that are coming in that are so happy that we exist because now they don't have to go to the New Hampshire state liquor store. They can talk to somebody who is local, or they don't have to go up one exit and now on their way home, they can stop at the gas station or they can stop here and just pick up that one thing that they need. So we are competing with them. Price wise, everything. We're doing it. It's fine. That part is not the concern. The part that's actually hindering us is basically just quantity based. It's not even size based.
Okay.
Yes, we have some smaller items that would be easier to sell. If we have to sell those in a larger quantity of 2 or such, that's fine. I would also state that forcing people to purchase more doesn't necessarily mean less consumption. As a matter of fact, if you're buying 4 cold beers, technically you can drink 4 cold beers, right? You're not limiting anybody by forcing them to purchase more. They can take 1 out of a 6-pack or 1 out of a 30-pack and drink it warm. We have a police force for a reason. We have a certification for a reason. We're doing the most responsible thing by everybody that can be considered. The litter already exists, whether it comes from us or comes from somewhere else. We're not trying to contribute to that. But we are making a substantial impact in Dunstable, and people are very pleased to be shopping with us. And so all we're trying to do is not discriminate against the people that are choosing to shop with us and not force their pockets, because that's where we're going to fail. $30 is very different than $6.
It sounded in the beginning, it sounded like, you know, a little more desperate than that, but, you know, I'm very happy to hear that. And, you know, I'm sure we can, you know, come up with a solution here to make everybody happy. But, yeah, I think I think we need to, I'm just not sure. Every once in a while, I get a flash of what the changes were, and I need to take a look at them and understand where you guys are coming from and compared to what's on that list.
No, I
So-
get it. I get it completely. Look, we have 3 kids. Nobody has been more welcomed in this town than we have been. And I know the gas station and Jay and Amy have a very, very lovely relationship with this town as well. Nobody's trying to do anybody dirty, for sure. We're just trying to exist. I don't want that kind of a vibe in this town. There's nothing I want less. All we're trying to do is make a living.
No,
Like,
well,
there's
we appreciate that. No, and likewise, when we want you to succeed, both of the businesses to succeed. So I mean, as was stated before, we're new at this, and we're still sorting it out. And but it's also very important for us to be getting feedback from actual businesses to see what's going to work and what's not going to work for both you as business owners and for, you know, the needs and wishes of the town. So I think if you could send what you're proposing, what your recommendations may be for us to reconsider, that would be very helpful. And then we can come back at this. So
Thank you all for your time and for the consideration, really.
yeah, well,
Appreciate it.
thank you for presenting. And
Amanda, I
Doing
don't
as you
know. I
said.
think you said this would still be okay, but I don't know if you wanted an example because I happen to have one in my fridge. It looks like a single serving. It's not. And just for the record, this lasts me a week.
A week.
I can't see what that is exactly.
It's kind of hard because of the thing. It looks like a single serving. It's not. And again, it lasts me longer than a week, but we're not, I don't want to.
Is that bottle empty?
It is not empty.
All right, I'm just checking on you. So Amanda Flores, you have a takeaway here, right? That you're going
Yes.
to get back to Jason with a proposed revision. I do understand that you are representing Dunstable Country Liquors. And my only ask here is that whatever you propose, that you share that discussion with Manda over at Mirabel so that we don't have two conflicting understandings. I mean, it's just these two stores. Let's just socialize this and come to a common understanding
Absolutely.
and an agreement. That's my only ask. And as I said, I do understand you don't represent Mirabel.
No, absolutely. But we have connected on this, in advance of this meeting, and they are working very well together, the two sets of owners. And the proposal will be sent to Amanda Shannon prior to being sent to Sue and Jason for your consideration. And thank you guys so much again. I know you have other things to move on the agenda, but thank you really for the time you allowed this.
We're going to Erica's house to finish that bottle.
I guess.
Erica's going to a Jingle Fest meeting, so you'll have to meet me there.
All
Thank
right.
you, both of you. So we'll work on this. So
All right, I'm going to pretend like I know how to hang up, but I don't.
And I'll see you in
the
a minute.
leave button up in the corner.
Thank you.
All right, very good.
Thank you.
Good
All
night.
right,
Thank you.
thanks.
Bye-bye.
All right, moving on. The next thing we have on our agenda is a notice of intent to remove property from chapter 61 designation at 476 Main Street. So this is one of the parcels that is owned by the Fennichettis in the center of town. It is the one parcel. It's a little over 5 acre parcel that the request is for to be active as of July 2026. I just realized in that letter. So it doesn't appear to be an immediate thing, I believe.
Is that
Right,
when
yeah,
the
I think the
120
next
days
fiscal year.
starts?
Yeah. So just that they're giving us fair warning that they are going to be doing this, which would allow the town to have the first right of refusal once there is a actual price tag or it's for sale and put on it, a valid market offer. It's an interesting piece of property. It is ties right into our town common in the back end of it. It does, however, have a perennial stream that flows through it. So there are some restrictions on that land related to the river and floodplain and riverfront and some wetlands. But there is some upland up in the front between their existing home and the abutting property on the other side. So
This is like the vacant parcel. If you're driving
vacant
towards,
parcel.
yeah,
Yeah.
you're almost at the antique sign, but it's just before that, right?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
it wraps around a house.
Right.
Right where the new 113 culvert is.
Mhm.
That is the south side of 113. On that side where the culvert empties into is Fennekenny land.
Okay.
And so it's sort of a strangely U-shaped property that wraps around another house that is not owned by the Fennekettis.
Yeah, I appreciate the notice, and it is it's a sensitive area in the sense of the perennial wetlands and such. Also sensitive to where it is for our town and the schools nearby. There's a lot of stuff that goes into that whole little town
Yeah.
center space there. So,
So I think that's the extent of it right now, is just letting us know that what their intentions are going to be coming up
Does-
through July.
yeah, does this in effect notify our, I see, planning and conservation get notified as well? Does like CPA get notified, or is this sort of with Joni
No.
here? There's no consideration there, right?
It only really, the consideration of notification is to the select board, I believe.
Okay.
When they, when and or if they sell or change or want to change the use, that's when they have to notify planning, Concom, select board, but we don't know if that's gonna happen or when that's gonna happen at this point.
And this is only the property behind the house?
Beside the house.
Right.
So there are two parcels they own. One is a little over 2 acres where their house is. It's a long, narrow lot.
Yeah,
And then if you're facing the house, there's a field to the left.
yeah,
And that's the property. It's 5 acres,
that's the property, okay,
correct?
Mm.
okay. Mm-hmm. Well, see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know the intent of them doing that. I mean, there are some questions, if the intent is to remove it and sell it as a building lot, I have no idea. I've had no contact with the Fennichettis at all. I don't know what their intentions are. I do have a question about Joan, I get, you're on the planning board.
Yeah,
So there are obviously 2 areas of frontage along Main Street. One of them is only 113 feet wide. So that would not necessarily be enough frontage for well, I guess for a 2 acre lot, correct?
wouldn't be, right, wouldn't be enough frontage for, what do they call it?
A backland?
No.
Oh, no, an A&R?
An A&R, thank you. And,
Okay.
but yeah, I mean, then, you'd, I don't know if there's 5 acres there's probably not enough, not enough for anybody to bother wanting to put, a road in there.
I don't think they'd
Um,
get very far considering the riverfront area that extends from the stream. But you have to have 200 feet consistent frontage, right? You couldn't add the
Yes, right,
240 on the other
For a
side.
house,
Okay.
lot, yeah.
Yeah, so that it is more than 5 acres. It's a little bit more. But most of it is encumbered by wetlands and riverfront and floodplain.
Can't put a 40B
So-
on that, can you?
Be a pretty little one,
5
If
acres.
they-
5 acres, but it's just shy of 2 acres, maybe even a little less
Right.
of, let's see.
5 acres, 5 acres for a backland lot.
Right. Yeah, this
Is
will be an
that-
interesting one. So,
Is that area that's outlined in green, is that the 5 acres?
Yes,
Okay, so it's that entire area, okay.
yeah.
yes.
But really just all of the green lawn part is really the only upland on there, and even part of that is encumbered by riverfront.
Okay. Yeah, so that would be interesting, so, we'll have to see what the cost is. It might be nice to be able to
Yeah,
add that to the center of town
yeah.
if we can, afford to do it.
Yeah, it'd be that and
So-
like what's, if they're gonna sell the next parcel, right? But don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves with land considerations and such
Right.
and
Yeah.
just be mindful of that.
Well, time goes fast too, so it is just something to think about.
Yeah, it did certainly for the High Street property. It felt like it flew by and then it was up and down. So
Yeah, well, yeah, that was a different ballgame, but this is something to think about.
for
But
sure.
anyway, all right, we don't have
But
to
if
spend much more
just
time on this, but
just a reminder, Karen, you may have just alluded to this, but if this comes out of chapter and then they sell the property as one, then they have the frontage too, right?
Sure do. Yeah, absolutely.
So just
You just redraw the lot lines.
because
Not
then,
uncommon.
yeah, because they won't, I mean, presumably they're not going to sell those as two, they'll sell it as one property. So,
Absolutely.
okay.
Jason, what are you referring to?
I'm just saying they'd have, if this comes out of chapter, I'm moving my mouse as though you can see it. I know,
Yeah.
you can't. Sorry. But if that comes out of chapter and then they sell the house and the what is it, 470? What is it, 476?
476.
If they sell,
476.
if they sell those together, then they have the frontage necessary to build, and presumably could do something larger potentially.
You
Okay.
end up with about over 7 acres there with those two parcels together.
Yep, 7.5.
And
You do, but-
you would have the street frontage with 1732 504 Main Street and 476 1730 on the left-hand side. You would have the frontage, if you can join those together. So just something to,
So, but you'd only have, if you were to join those parcels together, you'd have an existing house on one and only approximately 3 acres of upland to be able to work with, assuming it's all upland. That's
Yeah,
not a
and
lot to
that's-
work with.
yeah, it'd be really up to what the goals are, right? I mean, of course, we don't know until we know. So,
Right, exactly.
uh,
And your frontage between those two lots, so there's 200 feet of frontage with their current house and only about 114 along that side.
yeah, 504, it looks substantially wide, but maybe I know we're just kind of guessing. I don't know how much frontage that one has, if it's just 200.
I've just measured it's 200, yeah.
Okay.
Nice, okay. Well, we'll see.
Yeah, yeah,
Anyway, all right,
something to think about for sure.
yeah. Okay. Very good, let's move on. So next up, the brokerage of record change for health and life insurance. So it's just notification given to us that
Well,
Jennifer
so
Borslow Insurance Agency is going to be taking over as our.
well, I hope so. We did use historically, when I first got here, we used NFP with Kevin Pecos, you may remember.
Mhm.
And over the last year, we have not had anybody. And so these folks, Borslow, I had a meeting with them. They actually represent the school district and they work with Sherry Kersey very closely. Sherry was a strong recommendation for them, and I've been pretty impressed with not only our meeting, but their follow-up. And so it's nothing out of pocket for us. The last arrangement we had, you might remember, it was a flat fee to NFP. This is not the case in this instance. If they get us a deal, they get paid. If they don't get us a deal, they don't get paid, basically. Similar to our arrangement with for the PFAS claims. So I'm hoping you'll consider with health insurance costs the way they are. Maya is excellent, and I hate to leave them, but I think we're obligated to do our due diligence and see what the market is on, especially on health insurance. And so I'm hoping we can work with Borslow Insurance to help us navigate that and
Okay.
and test the market.
So is it your request that we engage with them
Yes.
to do?
So they're our broker, basically. So they'll be
Yeah.
our broker in all three.
Mhm.
one for the flexible spending account, I'd like them to really work on that. That's Task we use right now. And I've received several concerns regarding them. So I'd like to see what the options are for that service. And then for life insurance, they believe they can get our employees a better deal. And so I'm hoping they can be our interface in that. And they said they've done it for other communities. So be great if they can. And then health insurance, Maya doesn't deal with brokers, so I'll still be dealing with Maya. But what they can do is help us test the market on,
Yep.
you know how it goes, how many employees, what our demographics are, et cetera. And we can't get claims history because we're too small to get claims history. But we can get other information from Maya that helps folks bid on our health insurance coverage. So, we went up 14% this fiscal year. I've had a preliminary meeting with Maya again, and they said expect the same thing. So we're talking 14% back to back. And by the way, we're not alone. Everyone's dealing with the same thing, but it's a big increase and doesn't appear to be ending anytime soon.
Okay.
Oh,
I move to approve Boris Lowe Insurance as broker of record for health and life insurance and flexible spending account, and authorize the town administrator to sign associated documents on behalf of the board.
Second.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Great. Okay, next up, discussion with fire chief about adding a per diem firefighter for the shift of 4 p.m. to 8 p.m.
Thanks for hanging on.
Yeah. Hi, chief.
Hi, thanks for having me. As we kind of continue to struggle with our night coverage, me and Jason started looking around at some things that we could do. We explored a whole bunch of options, some that were good and some that we weren't, too sure about as, things went on. And I kind of, basically, I pulled the last 3 years of call data for the 24-hour periods. And the busiest time is, in that time frame is what we're already covering, 8 to 4. 8 to noon is the busiest time. 12 to 4 is the second busiest, and then after that it starts to reduce, but it's still 4 to 8 is the next highest call volume that we've been running. And it seems to be, at that point in time, the guys have gone home for the day and people are picking up kids from school, getting out of work, getting home, it's dinner. And we seem to struggle, to get, sometimes, anybody during those times. I think it's just the busiest time of day for, people just in general. And so looking at those numbers, like I said, I always don't really like to look at the numbers just because it's hard to say what the severity of what calls you're going on. You can't really, plan for that. But if you just look at the numbers, it was kind of clear that this is the next busiest time of day for us. So we figured that it would be, helpful to at least try to get one guy, to cover that 4 to 8 spot so that we can at least get a truck there, get somebody there that can, call for more help and things like that. And we also were, my thought is that if we can get, that one guy going, that the people that are home will, maybe have more of an incentive to want to go now that they know that there's one guy going, and then, they'll be listening up and jumping in at that point if they know that there's already one guy responding, and they're not going to be maybe the only ones, because there still is, a bunch of people that don't, really want to be by themselves, because it's, it's obviously it's a safety issue. So, we looked at the numbers, and it's, the current rate is $19.31 an hour. So be about $77.24 a day. Comes out to a little over $28,000 a year for the one. We were looking to try to incorporate this in January. So if we did that January 1 to July, that's 25 weeks, 5 days. It came out to about just south of $14,000. So we have that money usually in the call pay. We don't usually use all the call pay. There's kind of there's more money in the call pay than what's usually used, but that's just because we don't know what we're going to have to spend every year. There could be a light year. We could have several brush fires. We could have a couple fires, and that really drains it. So there's kind of a gap there, that a comfort zone that we kind of keep so that we don't run too low on that. So knowing that, and we wanted to kind of try this and see if this would be an improvement for us, which I think it will.
Quick question. So you said the 12 to 4 shift is usually the slowest call volume?
No, the 8 to 12 is the busiest, 12 to 4 is the second busiest, and then 4 to 8 is the next busiest after that.
Oh, so that's the third. Okay.
So we have the first two, like I said, already covered, 8 to 4, and then the next busiest would be that 4 to 8 slot that we're looking to cover.
Okay.
I'll just, do
Yeah.
you mind if I add something real quick?
Please.
I'll just say it's, I think this discussion first started, I don't know, a year or so ago at last budget, at our last budget meeting. And we did have a follow-up about it. We had a meeting about a number of different things, and this was one that we wanted to follow up on. And I appreciate the chief because he constantly challenges the town and me in particular to figure out how to get better coverage down there. And so we were talking about this, and I remember him not getting frustrated, but sort of kind of getting frustrated because he's having a hard time getting people to respond, especially during this hour because of the reasons he stated. But also because, as he said, it's impossible to predict when you're going to have a major event and you're going to need people. So picking and choosing when you have coverage, when you don't have coverage is not the best way to staff the department, obviously. And so, of course, I suggested looking at the busiest hours, and he left not loving that idea. But what I like is he did, and he called back and kind of ran the numbers, looked at the budget, ran the budget numbers, and ultimately, I think we're viewing this as a step forward in progress, but not the end of that progress. But the chief really has been a real advocate in this and really done a lot of work on it. And given the activity, I think it does make sense, and the fact that I think we really can absorb it budgetarily for the next 6 months and see how it goes. We don't even know the chief, you could speak to this too, but we don't even know if people are going to be interested in the shift. I mean, it's one shift, being alone in the station. Is there going to be interest? We don't know. So it's more, I describe it as a trial to see how it goes, and then we can, as long as the board is comfortable with it, we can kind of report back after the trial, or maybe even during the next budget discussion for 27 about how it went and how we're looking at it for 27.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up because it was more of a, we kind of wanted to try it out and see how it is. And there's been a lot of positive feedback. Guys want to, they say they want to, try it out. They want to do it.
Mhm.
And, I guess that's the most important thing, just because, that I always say, just because we're going to this, it is a step forward. I think it's an important step forward, but it's definitely not going to be the end. I mean, it's probably not going to be the end, for me until we have 24-hour coverage, and that's a long way off, but we have to keep kind of working towards it. And I know this is probably a smaller bite to take to try to get us, in that direction. And even just, if we can kind of look at the numbers, we're going to have to, see how, if they all get taken and it's chewing up a lot of money, and then we'll have to stop it at some point. That's not necessarily a lot of places that, I'm familiar with that do per diem. They, they'll add a third guy after January 1st, and then maybe, they have to cut back to 2 or, whatever the case may be, as things get closer to the end of the fiscal year. So, I mean, we're going to have to keep our eye on it, which is fine. And, even with the number being kind of low and starting at the half year, I just kind of want to be able to, if it's going well and we have enough money, if we can maybe go and add the 2 rather than having to come back and, if we have the money and it looks like, we're going to be able to do it. But like I said, we'll have to, me and Jason will keep an eye on it, and I'll, keep working with him to make sure that it's going to work out. So, I mean, it could, and that's another, I think, thing to bring up. If we have a lot of, as the winter comes, if we have storm coverage and there's fires and we end up chewing up a lot of that money, that, we may have to stop this, before the end of the fiscal year. So, I mean, it's a possibility, but the way that it's trended the last few years, we've had the money, through the fiscal year. So we're pretty confident that it's gonna work out.
Personally, I think it's a good idea. I'm happy to support going forward and giving this a try, and especially if you got it within the budget right now, let's try it, see how it goes. I mean, it doesn't surprise me that it's a busy time. There are a lot of people on the roads between 4 and 8.
Yeah, we do. There is quite a few accidents, it seems like,
Yeah.
On that commute home. And like I said, our coverage just kind of misses that, leaving it forward. It does seem like there's if you look at the times here, it is, from 4 and 5 is, 5 and 6 is when, at that point from there is where the most calls come in that 4-hour block.
Yeah. Okay. Ron?
No,
Thoughts?
I'm in complete agreement with it. It happened today, right? Your shift finished at 4:30 and you had a medical call and a car accident within a half hour of each other.
Yeah, it almost never
Hello,
fails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Well, yeah.
I think it's money well spent, and Billy's he's point on, and I think that we do need to go forward, and I've seen it. I've seen those calls come in, and at the guys just went home, and in a lot of cases they go home, they put down a couple of beers or had a mixed drink. Those guys are out of service, and so I think this is a great idea, and I'm happy to support it.
Kieran?
Yeah, fine with me. I think if it's within the budget bandwidth and we activate our resources, get more folks to assist in times of need, and just have increase the presence that we have in town, that's a good thing. So yeah, thank you for being diligent.
Yeah.
Thanks.
And as you're constantly demonstrating, and people are learning that the fire department does more than just put out fires. So there's a need for your services beyond that.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Do you
We
need a
don't have a
motion for
motion for
that?
Anything
this.
else from us at this point, or what do we need? Is there a
I
motion?
don't think so.
Okay.
Well, I'll just keep you all in the loop on what the progress is, when we anticipate it starting, and we're gonna sharpen our pencils a little bit before, but before we really dove into it, I just wanted to make sure the board was on board with us moving forward. So we'll get to work on it.
Okay, great.
Thank you very much.
Excellent.
good night.
Thanks, Chief.
Thanks, Chief.
All right, next up, another discussion.
Oh,
on
yeah.
the Compensation and classification study.
This should be quick, I think. I just wanted to, this is another one of those, are you all comfortable with me kind of putting it down as a formal proposal with a vote for your next meeting? Or do you want to see any changes to what I've already kind of talked about and presented? Because if you're ready, I'm ready to kind of put it in a nice package and ask for a vote.
Yeah, I
Okay.
think it's ready to go,
Agreed.
Jason. FinCom's been involved in it. We've had countless discussions about it. I think it's time to move it forward.
Yeah, we've had the Collins Center involved. We've had a couple, like Ron said, a couple good discussions about it, and looking at it broad stroke, it seems to enhance almost every role.
Mhm.
I can't say that can't guarantee anything these days, but it enhances everyone and gives a good trajectory. I think that's hopefully received well. So
Okay.
Yeah, and looking at the numbers too, of like the cost comparison, if you were to tweak some of these numbers, like rather than going to a 3%, do a 2.5 or something like that. It comes down to Ron's favorite term of
Budget dust.
like, instead of a $7,000 increase, maybe a $4,000 increase. And at the end of the day, you want your employees to be productive and treated fairly, treated well, and happy to stay. And I think that this will enhance that likelihood for people. So,
Yeah, it's
Awesome.
not enough to cry about.
No.
Right.
yeah.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I'll have something ready for you at your next meeting.
All right. Very good. Final
Babcock,
thing
yeah.
is the appointments to the Morgan Babcock Scholarship Board of Trustees.
So there's an appointment here for Heather. How do you say her last name? Gertison,
Yeah,
right? Do I have that right?
I think
Gertison?
sounds
So-
good to me.
She's not with us here, right? No,
She's
there's only
not.
6 of us.
No, Heather Gerson.
And she knows, I mean, she
Yes.
just wants to get it. She's all set. And we have any issues?
We do not.
I move to
Carry on.
approve the appointment of Heather Gertison to the Helene Morgan Babcock and Alfred Babcock Memorial Scholarship Committee for a term expiring on November 19, 2028.
I will second.
Excellent. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you.
All right, good. I think that's it.
I'll, make a
Anybody
motion
else?
to adjourn.
Second.
All's in favor?
Aye.
Aye.